Imagine a snowy Christmas night so silent that even the wind held its breath, waiting for something magical to happen. And somewhere in the heart of that quiet forest, a tiny rabbit with a determined heart was about to change Christmas forever. If you stay with Peter Rabbit from this very moment, you'll see a Christmas tale that reminds us what courage, family, and kindness truly mean. His story does not begin with gifts or celebrations, but with a problem big enough to break the spirit of even the bravest rabbit. Unless that rabbit was Peter. Peter Rabbit had always been known for his adventurous spirit, but this Christmas was different. The snow fell heavier than usual, piling up against the small burrow where Peter lived with his mother and sisters, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail. Their food was nearly gone, and every time Mrs. Rabbit looked at the small carrots and withered leaves left in the pantry, her face tightened with worry. Peter noticed everything, even though she tried to hide it. He lay on his small bed that night listening to the gentle sobs of his mother when she thought everyone was asleep. They had all dreamed of a warm Christmas feast, but now it looked like they wouldn't even have enough to stretch through the week. Peter knew he had to do something. He quietly decided that the next morning he would go out alone and find enough food to save Christmas, no matter how dangerous the winter forest had become. The next morning the wind cut across Peter's fur like icy needles, and the forest was covered in white that reached up to his small paws. Most rabbits would have turned back, but Peter pressed on, breathing puffs of white clouds that disappeared into the cold air. He hopped past the frozen berry bushes and made his way toward the large human garden, a place no rabbit in winter dared to enter. It was guarded by Mr. McGregor, and even in winter the old farmer never stopped watching for intruding animals. But Peter also remembered the look in his mother's eyes, and that memory filled his tiny legs with determination. He just needed a few vegetables, a handful of carrots, a small bag of potatoes, anything to save Christmas. When he reached a snow-covered fence, Peter squeezed through a gap and entered the garden. His heart pounded as he took in the sight, frost-covered plants still holding life beneath the ice. Just as Peter began to fill his tiny sack with what he could, a shadow moved. Mr. McGregor was there, holding a lantern, muttering about the footprints he saw in the snow. Peter froze, then bolted, running as fast as he could as the farmer shouted and stomped through the snow after him. Peter slipped, lost his bag of food, but didn't stop until he was deep in the woods again. Cold, tired, and empty-handed, he sat crying under a snow-laden tree. He had failed. Christmas would be ruined. But that is never where a Christmas story ends. Just when Peter thought he was alone, a soft little voice spoke from the shadows. "You shouldn't be out here alone, Peter." It was Benjamin Bunny, his cousin. Benjamin sat beside him, listened without judgment, and then smiled with confidence brighter than any Christmas star. "You don't have to save Christmas alone. Let's try again, together." Peter wiped his tears, a spark of hope returning. With Benjamin by his side, they went deeper into the woods, not to danger this time, but to a part of the forest that only a few animals knew existed. Benjamin led him into a hollow tree filled with animals from all over the forest: squirrels, mice, hedgehogs, badgers, each storing food for winter. When Peter explained what had happened, the animals didn't laugh or turn him away. Instead, they shared. A handful of apples from the squirrels, nuts from the mice, root vegetables from the hedgehog family. Enough food to fill Peter's small bag twice over. Peter's heart warmed in a way the snow couldn't touch. He realized something important. Sometimes bravery isn't just facing danger alone. Sometimes it's letting others help carry the weight. Peter and Benjamin returned home near midnight. Mrs. Rabbit gasped when she saw the food, and tears filled her eyes, not of worry anymore, but of joy and pride. They spent the next morning preparing the most beautiful Christmas meal they had ever shared. And when everyone sat together, warm inside their burrow while snow continued to fall outside, Mrs. Rabbit looked at her son with a smile that held both gratitude and admiration. Peter didn't talk much about what he had risked, but everyone could see the courage and love in his eyes. When the candles flickered and the Christmas bells from the distant village chimed through the night, Peter realized that this Christmas was different, not because of the feast, but because he had learned something big. True Christmas was never about having enough, but about giving enough, sharing enough, and being brave enough to care from that day on. Peter Rabbit's Christmas tale was told across the forest as a reminder that even the smallest heart can make the biggest difference, and that when things seem hopeless, kindness and courage can still save the day. And if you've stayed with Peter until this very last word, then you've shared his journey too. One that promises that somewhere, in a snowy world filled with challenges, magic still happens when we choose generosity over fear.